I'm a robot vacuum cleaner, so yeah, I got one gig. I suck up dirt, so pardon my inferiority complex about Geico, who does so much more. Like, not only could they save their customers money on car insurance, but they got fast and friendly claim service too, and an award-winning mobile app. Plus access to licensed agents 24/7. Who am I kidding? I can't even do corners. Uh-oh, choking hazard. Popcorn kernels.
Geico. Expect great savings and a whole lot more.
Dear Minneapolis, get ready for the Dropkick Murphys to be played a lot.
Wow.
A lot, as the Patriots are heading to another Super Bowl, and they'll be joined there by the Eagles. Welcome in. Glad you're with us. Golic and Wingo on ESPN Radio and ESPN News right now, as coverage on ESPN2 continues from the Australian Open, and when their coverage is done, we'll bounce over to ESPN2 on the TV side. We are presented by Progressive Insurance. All phone guests will join us via the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line, and we are taking a deep dive into Championship Sunday on this Monday morning, and also getting our first pseudo-glimpse at Super Bowl 52. Glad you're with us, and delighted to be joined in studio by the dapper one, the gelled wonder, the bearded one. NFL analyst Jeff Saturday joins us in studio, giving us the Straight Talk, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless.
Hello.
Best phones, best networks, no contracts. There's a lot of product.
I'm highly flammable, Trey. Highly flammable.
That's a flag as an offensive lineman. You are floating a lot of product there.
I mean, it just, it won't move. I can shake the head, it still ain't moving.
Yeah, you couldn't have done that in the locker room when you were playing. I'm sure you got all kind of grief for that.
No chance.
Yeah,
I lost a little weight,
right.
Yeah, things
all of a sudden people start saying, hey, you look good, so you kind of taking it to the next level.
That's
now,
right.
huh?
That's right.
That's
there
like
you go.
when Schlereth was there, he said his goal was to be an underpants model. Yeah. And Matt Burke, who played all those years at center, he lost a ton of weight. He became a triathlon.
All linemen do a good job.
Yeah, Faneca too.
At the end of the day, you either go way up or way down.
That's right.
And this a good health move to go way down.
That's exactly
right.
Well,
you seem to be doing okay as a former
doing
D
all
lineman
right.
there.
Doing all right. I'm trying to, do the D lineman well.
You're doing all right, making good grades. Future's so bright, you gotta wear shades.
Gotta wear them.
I gotta add, the first thing I gotta ask you about that first game, the AFC game, is at what point did you have that feeling in your stomach of Jacksonville's going to lose this game? Tom Brady's going to be Tom Brady.
Into the first half. I'm going to be real. Into the first half.
Into the first half.
Into the first half. I got, they have the unnecessary roughness call, but before that.
Although that was the right call. I mean,
no, for sure. But before that, remember, they blow it on a delay of game.
See, that one drove
coming out of a timeout.
Coming out of a timeout, they blow it on that, and then you think to yourself, man, that doesn't look good, right? Then you come back, the roughness, and then the PI.
Which wasn't a PI.
Yeah, exactly. But when they get that call, they go in to score, and then you hit the knee with,
55 seconds
almost
ago.
A minute left.
2 timeouts.
I'm like, you're playing way too conservative. They're going to have too many shots at this thing to come back. Listen, I'm a Colt, so I'm definitely pulling for Jacksonville to beat the Patriots, but I just didn't think they would have enough at the end, and ultimately that's what it shows.
See, the knee at the end of the half, I get it, and you're right. They had obviously had a lot more faith in Foles. That one didn't bother me as much because at that point I'm thinking, okay, we got the lead. We get the ball to start the second half, and they did score.
They did. They
to start the second
half.
So I didn't have a huge problem with that. But the drive before that, Jeff, where you have a 3rd and 7, and coming out of a timeout, you complete it for a first down to the New England 32, and now you can go up by 14 points or 17 points.
That's right.
And somehow, some way, you don't get the playoff.
I don't understand.
That's the one that drove me crazy.
And it's not if from my perspective, I'm sitting there as a coaching staff. You got to be seeing that play clock wind down. Right. I mean, from a player perspective, I know you're watching it because, as a center, that's what you're always gauged off of. So I know those guys can send it. But even if he's in silent count, head down, all those things, whether Bortles is seeing it, but the staff has to be seeing that thing get down as well. I'm just questioning because I'm watching it tick down. I'm thinking, call a timeout, do something to at least help yourself right now, and they don't. You see the play go off. At first, I thought, well, maybe they got it right at the snap. Nothing's going to be called, and then you see them complete it and then bring it back. It was brutal. I mean, that was a brutal turn of events. And again, not one play is going to define a win or a loss. That one, to me, was the tip of the iceberg. It began to roll the other side as soon as that happened.
And I'll say it again. Just look at the difference of the two teams. Philadelphia is up 21-7. There's 29 seconds to go in the half. They're on their own 20.
Yeah.
And what did they do?
Foot on the gas.
They went down and got a field goal.
Absolutely.
They got another field goal, and they got the ball first in the third quarter as well. Just like Jacksonville, who took a knee with 55 seconds to go and 2 timeouts. So that, to me, is complete lack of faith in your offense and your quarterback, who, by the way, your quarterback was playing pretty well.
Absolutely.
Albeit on shorter passes because it was keeping the defense on their toes because you saw drives of 8 plays, 4 pass, 4 run. They were mixing it up extremely well.
No, you're exactly right. And you could, but the thing is, at that moment, you could have stayed in that mindset.
Right.
What happens in the next half is they get pinned back so often they can't be aggressive because you feel like now if you make a mistake, this is the ender. If it's a pick, if it's a pick six, we're gonna not give ourselves even a chance with our defense. So they play the field position game, which we know New England ends up winning. So to your point, it's a great point. You really could have accentuated what he was doing well. Be creative in your play calling, dink and dunk,
which they were in the first half,
and they were working.
Even if you're backed up though, Jeff. At some point, because you don't want to make a mistake, at some point, now you were a veteran team and you had Peyton Manning, so you're really not doing that. You're going to take some chances. But at some point as an offense, isn't there frustration on the sideline of saying, okay, man, you even sense that, man, we're playing not to lose this thing. We need to open it up some. Even if we're on our own 10-yard line, all we keep doing is giving them more chances.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It becomes super predictable. On your 1st and 10, you know where the ball is going to go. 2nd and 8, here's what's going to happen. And it becomes the kind of the same play over and over and over. It was disappointing. I will say this, though. The one thing I don't want to do is minimize what the Patriots did.
No,
listen, when the plays mattered, I mean, when you think about Gilmore just rising up on that ball, knocking it down.
He went full Neo from the Matrix.
Absolutely. How he's staying up. When you see Chung stay on Lewis on the backside of that play and knock it down in a little over route that he ends up getting. Those guys, when it mattered, they made plays and they executed. Where on the other side, think about the Amendola catch that he stretched out and makes a catch over the middle.
Yep.
And you're just there, but you just don't quite make the play. It seemed to me at the end of the second half, that's what happened, is the Patriots actually made those plays. Jacksonville just couldn't quite get there to make them.
Jeff Saturday with us here on Golic and Wingo talking about Championship Sunday, and we're dealing with the AFC Championship game right now. To me, the one play that I think Jacksonville, and we'll get into New England here in a second, but the one play that if I'm a Jags fan or if I'm a member of that organization, it's got to be that 3rd and 18 conversion.
Oh, my gosh.
Okay, despite the botching at the end of the first half and maybe being too conservative, you get the ball to start the second half, you go out, kick a field goal, then you add another one. You're up 10 points.
Yes.
You're up 10 points in the fourth quarter.
Yes.
You have Marcel Darius has just leveled Brady on that series. You've got a 3rd and 18 with that defense, and they don't defend the sticks. That one I can't get around.
I don't get it either. And the look off, I mean, we're going to give Brady a ton of credit to look off James White and turn his head to the left. But my goodness, I mean, he drops the ball right into Amendola in the middle. But I'm with you. I mean, at what point are you just going to play heels on the line at 3rd and 18? Why am I trying to man up Amendola over the middle of the field when you know it matters? But it's one of those things, I think, from a coordinating perspective, as you get in this mindset of at 3rd and 18, the ball's going to have to come out faster. He's not going to get this time. We just put pressure on him. And you start to believe it. And instead of just playing general, and it sounds crazy, vague style football, heels on the line, don't let the guy get behind you. Let's knock it down, break it up, whatever you got to do. And I understand it. When Brady looks it off, it pulls the defense. But my goodness, man, you got it all right in your hands. And the thing for me is, as you look at the Jaguars, they'll go back and they'll kick themselves because they had the shot. But how many teams do that? I've done it playing the Patriots, right? I've looked that same way and thought to myself, man, we had this and we couldn't finish it out. We couldn't execute when it mattered. That's what they'll go back. Those are the details they'll work on. They'll be better. This is a built team, for years to come, but it's a frustrating way to end it.
I also, you give one of the things you give New England credit for a lot is their adjustments, because you saw also in the second half they were up on the line more. They didn't want to give Bortles the dink and dunk passes. Right. Now, Jacksonville still should have tried something other than just slamming the ball into the meat shield up front, as we keep saying. Yes. But they didn't. But on the other side of the ball, Jeff, here is after they gave up the first sack to on Brady against Saxonville.
Yeah,
they started chipping.
Right.
And they chipped both ends, and then the guys would go out, but they slowed up the ends. They only made the D tackles rush. And Jacksonville didn't. Jacksonville has been known to rush with 4 guys,
Absolutely.
and that's it. But now you're getting chipped. Now they're taking your 2 ends away from getting a quick pressure on Brady, leaving it to your D tackles, of which one is going to get double teamed. And they didn't adjust at all. One blitz I saw where Miles Jack comes up the middle and smokes Tom Brady.
Yes. One of the biggest hits I've ever seen.
But that's all
Brady
they did. It's like, no, this is what we do, and we're not changing. I was amazed that they were inflexible about not wanting to change. This is what we do, and we're not changing it, even though New England did a nice job of adjusting to their rush.
I could not agree with you more. And to your point, New England ends up bringing their Mike a ton to keep Fournette in where
Right.
you can't, and Yeldon, so they can't get out. Ends up giving up a sack over Yeldon when he's trying to pick that guy up. And Miles Jack comes free. But listen, that's the mentality. That's what I'm telling you. As a coordinator gets moving on in a game, they believe this is the only way we've gotten ourselves here. We're going to stick with this. 3rd and 18, we're going to have this call. I'll let him chase him over the middle. The ball's going to have to come out fast. But we both know, when you watch the film, even of Jacksonville, so much of their pressure comes from outside, and then the inside guys coming in late, right? Like pushing, and next thing you know, they're driving the pocket late, getting their hands up, doing those kinds of things. Not a lot of beat you clean type swim moves, those kind of things. It will occasionally happen, but not on the regular. And New England, to your point, adjusted quickly. Slide protection, bump the guy, roll out the back. You still get your guy out. He's just coming out late, but at least Brady sees the windows. This isn't even a sack deal. It's I can still see the windows, as opposed to guys getting their hands up in my face and me having to move around in the pocket.
Jeff Saturday with us here on Golic and Wingo, breaking down Conference Championship Sunday. And, we talk about the plays Jacksonville didn't make, but you have to acknowledge that the Patriots just do this all the time. Just so people understand, the Patriots are now 3-4 in the last 10 postseasons when trailing by 10 points or more in the fourth quarter. The rest of the NFL, 3-70 in that time frame. Okay, so they are doing things that nobody else can do, and they're doing it more consistently. The other thing, Tom Brady, that was his fourth quarter comeback win, down by 10 or more in the fourth quarter. No other quarterback in the history of the NFL has more than one. And he's done it 4 times. And by the way, he's done it 2 out of the last 3 playoff games he's faced. 28-3 down in the Super Bowl, and obviously what we saw Sunday afternoon in Foxborough. It really, and you mentioned adjustments, because I think we brought this up a little bit in the first hour. I think what the Patriots had to do in the second half to move the ball showed the respect they had for that Jacksonville defense. I mean, in a span of 6 plays, we had the double pass that worked until it didn't, and Miles Jack made a great play.
Right.
And stripped the ball away, but that was a big gainer. And then they had the flea flicker within 6 or 7 plays of each other. I mean, they were emptying the playbook.
Absolutely.
They went deep into that playbook to find ways to move against that Jacksonville defense.
100%. Listen, in the first half, when they hit Amendola on the 4th and 2, that's your best. I mean, you're calling your best stuff right there. Yeah. I mean, you're calling it in the first half. I can tell you from a coordinating perspective, that ain't where you want to make that call.
You don't want to be that deep in quarter one.
Yeah. You're thinking, hey, fourth quarter, we need it. Let's use this. When you're 4th and 2 and you're calling that thing up. But to your point, McDaniels didn't leave anything in the bag, man. He's making those calls. They're putting it all out there and trusting that their players are going to execute it when they have to. The double pass was mind blowing. I'm just going to let you know. That looks like something you do on Friday night.
Yeah,
you're right.
Yeah.
Not on Sunday.
That's your high school team's
exactly.
Gonna run, huh?
I'm developing that because this corner, you know he's going to run off, run out of bounds. I mean, they execute things that are absolutely insane, and that they're willing to pull it and do it was absolutely fantastic. And I love the way they develop it to allow that to happen, right? You hit the double pass, then you go right to the flea flicker, and again, you trust, I'm going to get this ball out, I'm going to make it happen. Listen, the flea flicker takes forever.
Yeah.
So just so everybody understands, when you call that play, you understand that pressure will most likely be there, because as an offensive lineman, you got to hold that thing up. The defense finally sees them, and they're not stopping. They're collapsing it on the running back, but they're still trying to get back there and run you over. You got to hold your guy. I mean, and again, now you're putting what you think Jacksonville's most impressive part of their defense, that front 4, and you're saying, hey, we're going to hold them up and give ourselves time behind it. It's just, again, chess and checkers, right? As you're willing to move, advance, do things outside of the box when it matters, because you're not afraid of what anybody's going to say afterwards.
So before we get to the NFC game, last one on the AFC game, do you think the penalty disparity of 6-1 had any effect on this?
No. I didn't like the pass interference at the end of the half.
That wasn't a PI.
That's not PI. But again, you're up 10 in the fourth quarter with the best defense in the league. You always say if we have a lead, if we got 7 points, we're going to win this thing out. You got to close it out, man. You got the best part of your football team, and you got to show up and do it. That's what wins championships.
That's what I keep anybody who is tweeting that when they kind of talk around it. Oh, the league wants a New England. So I always tweet back. I said, so in essence, you're telling me the league has told the refs to fix the game.
Right.
And then I don't hear back from anybody anymore. Because that's what you're saying.
Yeah.
So if you are don't talk around it, people. If you think it, just say it. You tell me that the refs are fixing the game because that's what the league wants. Is that what you really think out there? It's ludicrous.
This coming off a year where the league suspended Tom Brady for, nothing really.
Exactly.
The ball, the natural law of natural gas or whatever, the natural whatever. So that also doesn't work. We talk about the Patriots and all the plays that Brady made, but let's be honest. That game was won because of one play on defense, and we sort of alluded to it, Stephon Gilmore.
Oh, my word.
On 4th and 14. I mean, he was open, and that was a good throw from Bortles on the move. If he doesn't go full Neo from the Matrix, I mean, we're talking about an unbelievable collapse. I mean, Gilmore took a lot of grief at the start of the year from New England fans. They signed him to make that play.
Absolutely.
And he was unbelievable on that play.
$62 million worth of a play right there. I mean, he climbs the ladder as he's reaching up. He stays up there forever.
Yeah.
But to your point, Bortles steps up in the pocket, buys time, puts a good ball out there to be made. And again, this is the difference in why you win and why you don't win. When the plays mattered most, those guys made the plays, and you got to give them a ton of credit. That is a tough play to make.
Oh my God!
I mean, to trail that guy forever and then get up and make that play. I mean, it's just again, it's what creates championships and why they win so often.
So on the other side of that, you have the Philadelphia Eagles smoking Minnesota in this one, 38-7. Now I'm going to start this way. There's no way we think now Philadelphia was by far the better team yesterday, but you don't think they're 31 points better than Minnesota. What went on with Minnesota in this?
Yeah, this was the snowball effect, right? As once you started jumping on it, you knew Minnesota playing from behind. Once they get down more than 7, it's going to be a difficult deal. Their defense wasn't creating, which they have. They weren't getting off the field like they talked about they were always doing. They weren't turning the ball over. They weren't making those kind of plays. And even getting after Foles, I thought Doug Peterson did a fantastic job of saying, okay, they're getting home, right? Hunter's getting home.
Right.
We better get this thing going. And so they begin to create that play action. Everybody talks about the run pass option, kind of the RPO stuff. It wasn't just RPO though. I mean, it was play action. I'm going to get the ball going. I'm going to make the right read. I'm going to read one guy. They did a really good job of neutralizing that front four from the Vikings and how they played it and understanding. And Lane Johnson, as good as he is, he struggled early with Hunter. I mean, Hunter's coming out. I mean, he's bringing it. Griffin on the other side, Joseph in the middle. They were pushing, and then you saw that line begin to exert itself. That Eagles offensive line began to step by step just take them down one at a time. And from an offensive line perspective, D linemen gas out. I don't care how good you're going to gas out, right? I mean, it's going to be a different game in the fourth quarter than it is the first quarter. And you just watch the Eagles. Screen game was efficient, perfectly timed. I mean, it was just at every point it seemed the Eagles were ahead of the Vikings in the way that they were playing and calling the game.
Jeff Saturday here with us, who has known both sides of what it means to play in an AFC championship game. Played in 3 of them.
Yep.
Twice, went on to the Super Bowl, and once you came up short. And I want people to tell people just what it feels like to realize when you take the field Sunday, I have a chance to do the ultimate, get to the Super Bowl and fulfill all my dreams. And to see that thing taken away from you, one step away, how soul crushing is it?
It's brutal. I mean, it is a gut punch, and you literally feel nauseous as you're walking off. I mean, there's no other way to describe it. I remember walking off the field thinking this may be my only shot, and we just blew it. I mean, because that's the finality of what football is everybody, the week of celebration, getting there, you're getting talked up. It's all, in your locker room. It's the most media you've ever seen in your life. They're asking you all these crazy questions. To your point, you're thinking, hey, we're going to win this thing and go to the Super Bowl. You're already thinking about who's going to go to the Super Bowl, and all of a sudden it's over. And guess what? 33% of your team is going to a new team.
Right.
Rate of attrition in the NFL, right? All your boys, gone. Those wives and their kids that your wife is friends with and your kids are friends with, those guys are gone. I mean, the finality is devastating, and you've lost an incredible opportunity. And I don't know that I can frame it any better than it is a nauseous feeling from the time it ends, probably for a week or even longer. I didn't even watch the Super Bowl. I literally didn't even watch it. I could care less. I mean, it's that devastating of an effect on your psyche.
I want to ask one question about personnel and ask if this is a nauseous feeling, because I know you old linemen, you're all neurotic. You all hang together. And while you're game planning, you game plan obviously the plan, but then you start looking at your individual matchups.
Yes.
Tell me how soon Mason, Andrews, and Thuney, the interior guys from New England, are going to be going, Fletcher Cox.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Oh,
that dude is just a man amongst men. And in all seriousness, now you got to start looking at individuals. How soon are those guys just like,
I can tell you right now, they're looking at Andrews, both guards, Mason and Thuney, are looking at him and going, hey, help me.
Yeah.
Slide my way. Slide my way. I got an extra $1,000 or $2.
And when you got that one-on-one call, how that feeling, you got to be like, I got him one-on-one on this call.
Just the anxiety that builds as the week goes on. I used to bust my guards up. Jake Scott and Ryan, I used to bust them up. I'd put little things in their locker on game day, talking about he wants to literally eat you, bro. You are going to, Albert Hainsworth wants you one-on-one all day long. And it's what happens. Oh, lineman, we are neurotic. And we're like, I don't want to be the guy. No one ever talks about me. I'm completely fine with that. Don't let me be the guy that everybody's circling on Super Bowl Sunday for getting beat over and over by this guy. So I can tell you the anxiety, the excitement is there. The first time you turn the film on, the anxiety just builds right away. Oh my gosh, I got to block Curry one-on-one. I got to block Cox one-on-one. I don't like this feeling.
Well, unless an offensive lineman does what you did in one AFC Championship game, score a touchdown.
Yes.
Your name comes out for only bad reasons.
Only bad.
Yeah. Only bad reasons. And we'll talk about the turmoil that they'll be facing all the way up to Super Bowl 52. Jeff, always good to have you in studio.
Thanks, Jeff.
You on NFL Live today?
No, not today. Tomorrow.
Sports Center?
Yep.
Okay,
Sports Center all day.
You'll see Jeff and his gel products
all
everywhere.
Day. Flammable. Highly flammable.
On the ESPN family of networks and platforms. All right, coming up, memo to all professional athletes, including a couple in the Super Bowl and one in Houston over the weekend. Be careful what you wish for. Be careful how you state things. Mike, I'd like to think that we influenced our musical magician Cliff with Brickhouse with all our meat wall and wall of meat references.
I think so as well. That's how we roll.
That's sort of, I think, what got him in that mind frame, talking about Leonard Fournette continually just being slammed into an 8-9-man box in the second half against the Patriots. But you heard that Sal Palantonio text from Lane Johnson, who we like. We enjoy Lane Johnson, the all-pro right tackle for the Philadelphia Eagles. We had him on the show last week. He's already saying, pretty boy Tom Brady.
Yeah.
Can't you just say you're happy to go and then figure it out from there? Right?
Yeah. Usually you want to just stick to what you're doing and not against what the other team is doing, especially when they have the resume that they have. And I always say be who you are. That's why I didn't say a whole lot when Jacksonville was talking their noise. That's what they do. They're young. Some say even too young to understand. That's why, it works so well for them, and they reach the AFC Championship game. They are so talented, and they talk.
Yep.
So I don't want someone to change who they are. And listen, Lane has been very vocal about the fact that they are underdogged, but it usually wasn't against the other team. It was mainly, hey, that's all right. Disrespect us. We're the underdogs. Fine. We'll show you. Here you got to go after Tom Brady a little bit.
Well, he's not the only one. This is safety Malcolm Jenkins for the Eagles after the game.
We don't care who you put out in front of us, man. This team is destined. We're going out there to Minnesota to win the Super Bowl. We ain't just going for a field trip.
And you're right. You shouldn't be going for a field trip. But, Mike, when someone plays the destiny card.
Oh, that was all great until you use the word destined or destiny.
Yeah.
Felt that, again, I'll say it, when my boys were at Notre Dame, 2012, undefeated, played the national championship game. Couple games that year, controversial goal line stand went our way. Overtime field goal where Notre Dame should have had a penalty. It wasn't called. Goes Notre Dame's way. They do great in other games, obviously, but you get the ball to bounce your way a little bit. Couple people started using the word in those 44 days before the title game. Destiny, team of destiny. We're a team of destiny. Bama's always there. Notre Dame hasn't done it since '88. Destiny. Man, destiny lasted about a minute and a half.
Yeah.
Before the lights went out in that one. So I hate that word and I don't buy it at all.
No, it should never. Destiny's not something you can control anyway, I mean, so
that's destiny.
That's what makes it destiny. There's just no. be happy that you're there.
Yeah.
Say, hey, we can play with anybody, do all that
Yeah.
kind of stuff. But once you start talking about destiny, X's and O's don't matter about destiny.
No, they don't.
Film study doesn't matter about destiny. None of that stuff matters. You have to go out there and execute. So you can talk all that stuff. The bottom line is you got to play better than the other team on Super Bowl Sunday. But at least, Mike, it's not just folks in the NFL.
No, it is not.
Well, we had an interesting weekend in the NBA. The Rockets took down the Warriors, 116-108. And they became very confident, Houston did. This is Clint Capella telling ESPN, we're confident because we know if we're doing what we're supposed to do, we're going to beat them. But he didn't stop there, Mike. He then added, we're better than them, meaning that Clint Capella believes he is better. His Rockets are better than the Warriors right now.
Yeah. I know they've had some success against Golden State. I get it, but a different ball game. We're in a 7-game series. Rockets did win the season series 2-1.
Great.
Okay, I'm with you. Fine. Let's see what happens when it matters. I do think the Rockets can be competitive against Golden State. You try and find the teams that can. I think they could be the only one with the whole situation with Kawhi Leonard and San Antonio. I think they might have been a longer shot this year anyway, but LaMarcus Aldridge has played well without Kawhi Leonard there, but he's got that or the thigh issue working. You saw that Parker just got put to the bench as well, and that's that's Greg Popovich trying to look for the right rotation there. But I do think it's just Houston. I can't think of anybody else in the West that maybe could challenge Golden State, and I think Golden State will be heavily favored in that one. I get confidence in your team, but again, so. Do you jump on the guy for saying, I think we're better than them? You beat them 2 times. They beat you once this year. You always wonder why you got to go down that road, but we're definitely going to find out because they're definitely going to meet in the playoffs.
Well, I was about to say, this is certainly going to be played out one way or the other. And look, on some level, I understand, hey, we want to keep our confidence. We want to keep our swag. He alluded to that in some of these post-game comments, and they did rally from 17 down to start the season.
They did. That wasn't the worst smack talk I've heard of all time. And again, they'll get the opportunity in the playoffs.
That's exactly right. You mentioned the playoffs. There's another team and another player that doesn't want to even hear the talk of playoffs because we had the Rockets take down the Warriors. And again, as you said, alluded to it, took that series 2-1 in the regular season. And then you had the Cavs. They scored 124 points.
Yes, they
Saturday,
did.
Mike.
Yes,
against
they did.
The Thunder, and yet somehow they still found a way to lose by 24. The lack of defense by the Cavs is absolutely astounding at this point.
Again, to Oklahoma City on Saturday, they lost 148 to 124.
That's an all-star game score.
And that's not overtime. That's just regulation. And you're right. That is an all-star game score. So, there are more now. Ty Lue, all of a sudden, his job is in question. And when LeBron was asked about that, he certainly gave a different quote than when he was come to a David Blatt's job might be in question. Right. Back in Ty Lue, just a little bit more as far as that concerned. Yeah, Trey, I'm still not buying into it. January blues.
You still think this team is going to figure it out?
I'm still giving him time because of Isaiah Thomas. He hasn't been playing long enough.
Right, but the problem with Isaiah is we saw this in the playoffs last year against Boston. He's a defensive liability.
I agree.
And their issues are defensive more than anything else.
The issues were defensive last year as well.
Yeah.
Last year
Not
as well.
like this,
Well,
though.
they were as bad last year. They absolutely were.
148 points?
Well, I didn't say 148 points. That's one game. I'm saying their defensive efficiency is as bad as it was last year at this time, or right in the area of. Brett, I'm sure you could find that out. Right in the area of.
Brett, find that out. Find researcher. Get on that.
Their offensive efficiency is way worse, and that's where they need a lot of help because it's not like they're magically going to be great defensively. I know in the playoffs they moved up to about halfway, of the league instead of, right around the dead last in the league. So no, I'm not doing it yet. Not doing it. You know what? You still have LeBron James.
Well,
you still have LeBron James.
They do, and LeBron's played great, but here's what he had to say. He said, playoffs? He almost went Jim Mora. Almost went full cold. Playoffs? Former head coach of the Colts. We can't even start thinking about that. Not the way we're playing right now. We could easily get bounced early in the playoffs if they started next weekend. Haven't even begun thinking about that. And he added, I've never in my basketball life given up 148 points. Not even probably playing video games. They got everything they wanted. Inside, outside, they had it moving. It's just a really bad loss on our part.
Horrible loss. But the one thing he said there, we might not even advance if the playoffs are next weekend. They're not.
Yeah.
They're not next weekend. They're still a long ways off. The Celtics just lost 3 in a row. So I'm not ready to crown anybody new in the East outside of Cleveland until they lose. So I'm not buying into that. As I said, it's the January blues that we go through with the Cavaliers, and that's where we are.
It seems like more like a January deep purple this year than the Blues. It seems like it's a little more pervasive.
Yeah, go ahead, Brett. You got what you got?
The numbers? What you got?
Last year at this point, they were about 4 points per 100 possessions better on defense. This year, they're at 109. Last year at this point, 105.
So they are a little worse this year, but basically the same ballpark.
Basically the same ballpark.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
All
right.
The offense has been worse this year, and that's where Isaiah Thomas, as he gets more comfortable with his offense and rotation, I think can start to help more. We will see.
We will, and it just, I saw
looks
that
bad.
game.
Looks bad.
Oh,
yeah.
I was like, who was the MVP of the game? I was trying to figure out who was the halftime performer. It was crazy.
LeBron's still, 7 points short
had 18,
of 30,000.
Needs 7 more points to be the fastest to 30,000 in anybody in NBA history. So we'll see if they can figure out. The Celtics, as you said, on a little losing streak as well, 3 in a row. Kyrie, of course, banged up a little bit.
Right,
That's a big reason there. But there's a lot of basketball to be played, but at some point the Cavs need to start playing it.
Yeah, listen, it's not like I'm overly ecstatic or confident, but go ahead, tell me right now, someone make a bet with the rest, crown somebody else. I'll take that.
Did you go full Denny Green? If you want to crown there, go ahead and crown
them.
Are you saying the Cavs are who you thought they were?
I know they're a little worse than that, but I still think they're going to win the East.
they very may well, but they've got to figure out. They just got to get the moving parts together a little better. And hopefully, as this thing heats up after the All-Star game, they'll get going in that direction, and it'll be an interesting push to the postseason. The Celtics, though, are going to make things difficult. But the one thing we know about them, the Celtics will play good defense.
Yes, they will.
They will play really, really good defense and make you work for it on the offensive side of the ball. Golic and Wingo on ESPN Radio and ESPN News. Again, once the Australian Open coverage on ESPN2 is over, we'll be back there on the TV side. Glory days, certainly what's going on in New England right now with this unbelievable. It's this run again. What makes it so amazing is that it's happened since 2001, and we're still talking about it in 2018.
Right.
This will never happen again. This kind of unfettered success between a coach and a quarterback will never happen again. And that's why people like some of those tweets we just read, not the Patriots again, the rich get richer. Well, that's not the only sport and the only team where this is happening, Mike.
Unbelievable. Let's go to college basketball and Duke. Now he wasn't even rated the top player out of this class coming out. He's number 2.
Had the best highlights, though.
RJ Barrett is number 1, but Zion Williamson has committed to Duke for next year. So next year, right now, Duke has the number 1 player, RJ Barrett, the number 2 player, Zion Williamson, the number 3 player, Cam Reddish, and right now the number 10 player in Trey Jones in their recruiting class.
Is that it?
It's RJ Barrett is a 6'7" small forward. Cam Reddish 6'7", 203 small forward. This guy Zion Williamson. Now, people have seen he's got over 1 million Instagram followers, 100,000 Twitter followers. But his videos, his slant, he is 6'6", 275 pounds. He is a man amongst kids in high school. His jumping ability is ridiculous. His dunking reel is a joke to watch. I am so, Trey, looking forward to him, not only at Duke, but, talk about a one and done.
Yep.
And then going on to the NBA of what he is going to do. Again, 6'6", 275. LeBron is 6'8", 6'7", 6'8", about 260, 270, depending on which are at the beginning of the season. This guy and what he has been doing is ridiculous. Now, as the inside people who know his game said he's got to work on, getting in shape and the shooting and such, but he still does that pretty well. He'll block shots. He has quick feet for his size, but his game is that inside game and the slams that he does. He's been probably the most YouTubed and or videoed and or highlighted high school kid I can think of since LeBron.
Yeah, absolutely.
With what he has done with the slam dunks, and then for Duke, 1, 2, and 3. In the country of recruits. So
if you like dynasties, you're probably going to like the way things are rolling at Duke. If you don't like dynasties, like the way things are rolling in New England and Duke, you're going to have a lot of problems. Now, he's from Spartanburg, South Carolina.
Right.
So he also had, the Gamecocks and Clemson going for him. And he said, I love my state to death, But he likes the idea of playing with those guys at Duke a little bit better. And you wonder if David Cutcliffe and that Duke football staff might take a little look at him. I mean, he looks like a tight end. I mean,
he
everything
absolutely
about
does.
him, he is chiseled, man. I mean, yeah, could he be in better basketball shape? Absolutely. But boy, he looks like he could take on an outside linebacker right now.
He'll get there. And Duke, they may lose all their starting five. Grayson Allen's a senior. Marvin Bagley, a third, is going to be a top pick probably in the draft.
Yep.
Wendell Carter and
Trevon
Duvall are all first round picks. So they're going to lose them all and just replace them, with these three and more. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah.
And Coach K buying into a little more, knowing you have to, like Calipari has done. You get these one and dones, man. Come to my school, help us out here, and then we know you're going to be on your way.
And just so people understand how rare this is, Duke is the first program to have commitments from each of the top 3 recruits in the ESPN 100 era, which goes back to 2007. And according to ESPN stats and information, Duke has now landed 11 top 3 recruits in the 100 era. Kentucky and Kansas are next on that list with 4, but they've done it 11 times. It's just amazing.
It's crazy what they have done. And this guy, man, shockingly enough, in this day and age, if you haven't seen a video of him, Zion Williamson, check him out. You're going to love what this guy does.
It'll be a good 3 minutes and 39 seconds out of your day.
There you go.
I can promise you that. You know what we're going to do? We're going to try and see if the party's still going on in Philadelphia.
Oh, boy.
We'll check in with the city of brotherly love and see if it's still a rager. That's next. Stay with us on Golic and Wingo.
Attention shoppers, clean up on aisle 14. Clean up on aisle 14. Someone dropped a jar of pickles. Pickles. Kosher pickles.
Beatboxing at a big box store. Surprising. What's not surprising? How much you could save by switching to Geico.
A red minivan has the lights on in the parking lot.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Geico.